look the part, but let's see some of your moves.
Feeling free and it feels so right. Oh, time to do the things I like. Gonna see a princess, everything's alright. Oh, no job but an answer to. Ain't a fixture in the palace zoo. No, and since the carbonite's off me, I'm living life now that I'm free. Yeah, time to get myself together. Now I got myself together. Now I made it through the weather. Better days are gonna get better. I'm so happy the carbonite is gone. I'm moving on. I'm so happy that it's over now. The pain is gone. I'm putting on my shades to cover up my eyes. I'm jumping in my ride.
Yeah, and my business email is.
Well, I did see. I got my other thing that makes me jealous of my own kid was when they did that story on Zoe. But when Matt Martin was here, he was said that George Lucas's people showed George Lucas Zoe's episode.
That's
and
cool.
I told Zoe, I said, I'm fine. I don't need anything else to happen to me Star Wars related. I'm done. I'm full. I'm good. That makes I can die a happy man. You know. Now if she can just get an internship at Lucasfilm, then that'll her head.
Yeah. Well, you probably set that up if you want. I mean, I don't know.
She's applied to a couple, and she got 2 interviews with Lucasfilm. On the one, she got her first interview, and they said, "You're not qualified for this job, but we'd like you to give you a second interview just to meet the people." So she didn't get it, but she was really happy with what what their feedback and getting to talk to them. So,
yeah, it's always who you know out there, and it's really hard. Like I was offered a job there 3 years ago.
And look, Lucasfilm just locked up his thing.
Yeah, you've been.
We can't let this get out.
Yeah, you can't tell this story. The closest I ever got was I applied for a job at Lucasfilm, and on May the 4th, they sent me a thank you for applying letter.
Do you have that frame?
Not yet. I haven't printed. I should. I should put that on my wall in my office now. But yeah.
I'm sorry. I got it. I'm learning the software. Now you were just saying you cut you off as soon as you said you're Lucasfilm. We thought Lucasfilm cut you off.
Yeah, I got a job offer at Lucasfilm a couple of years, like 4 years now. And my wife and I looked at the housing market there in San Francisco, and it's just crazy. Like you can't afford to live there.
Right.
It doesn't matter what you can make $500,000 a year. The homes are still $2 million. So it's so expensive, and for someone my age, it's just too much work. Like you can't, because the people that I know that work there, some of them are thinking of leaving because it's so you're working there 12 hours a day forever, and it's just different when you do it for a profession. It's not as fun.
Well, that's also a 20-year-old's game.
Yeah, and it should be. I think I want to just enjoy it at this point, not do it.
Well, I see, and so I'm a teacher, so it's funny because our internship is called student teaching. We have to pay for it. When Zoe applied for this one, she said the money for the internship was a $5,000 signing bonus and $35 an hour. I was like, what?
Whoa, wait, what?
That's 3 times what I make an hour.
Right.
That's not an internship. That's not how internship works.
Yeah, that was for the internship. I was like, what? So, but she'll be in LA, so they work out of the I think it's the Warner Brothers lot for Temple. And then the production company, Monkey Deuce or something, that did the production for our Star Wars stories, they told Zoe when she comes out to California to look them up, and they might have a spot for her as an intern too. So.
Oh, that'd be great.
So I don't know where, again, and that guy was really cool to her. So everyone that's met her has been pretty cool to her. So.
There must be some directory of production companies somewhere, and those names are just the greatest. Like they're the weirdest names of all the names out there. You know.
Well, I was amazed when you see these production companies and the amount of money that they spend to do these little things. Like I guess I'm used to being in a school where like if I want to do something, I have to like I have a robotics team. I was scrounging money. I finally got a little bit of money from the local VFW just to buy tires for our robot.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, my son's on a robotics team. That's a great thing.
Is he in First Tech Challenge or First Lego League or the bigger one, the big robotics one?
He's I don't know because my company sponsors it. He's in the high school league. I'm
in the middle school side.
He just started. They went through a competition at the beginning of the month, and I think they were like the middle of the pack, so which is good. It's just I think it's good.
We finally got two.
They're good. Learning the skill is so important. I don't want to get it off on a tangent, but if people don't know tech at this point, it's going to be trouble in the future. You need to know some sort of technology in order to survive in the next economy.
Well, in my job, I'm the computer science teacher, but I'm also the person in charge of training teachers, which is really cool. It's kind of weird because I'm twice as old as most of the new teachers, and a lot of the younger people, I think cell phones, this is nothing to do with Star Wars, I'm sorry, but cell phones kind of stumped a lot of people in technology because they had a choice. Their parents had a choice. I can get you a cell phone or a computer, but not both. And most kids pick cell phones. Like I have more computer illiterate kids now than I did 10 years ago, just because of the way technology is.
And it makes everything's easier, right? Like I used to be when we had a Commodore 64 and Amiga 500, we used to try to, SYS 64738, and that was a code to bypass the security on a Commodore. Like, so you had all these things that you learned, and every computer was different. And now these computers are beautiful. I mean, I'm looking at like the Mac I'm looking at here. You can't see it, obviously.
Yeah.
The blue iMac, it's gorgeous, but it's also like a sheet. It's really just a big phone at this point, right?
Yep.
It's invisible technology X, and it just works.
Teachers call you master?
Oh
no, they only call me when something broke.
Okay.
The only plus side. So bring it back to Star Wars. The only plus side, like today, I got observed by my principal, and my room.
That sounds inappropriate.
Well, yeah, no, we get observed like you have to basically fight for your job every year. But my one whole wall is nothing but Star Wars quotes. My back wall is nothing but 501st pictures and Star Wars posters. My other wall is nothing but Marvel pictures and Marvel posters and I have it's a diversity when I have all that that for my students of color and stuff. And then I have a He-Man display. And then I have nothing but pictures of my kids in Star Wars armor. And then I have a bulletin board dedicated to our Star Wars stories and all the positivity and stuff like that. And all my principal said is, you're a character, but I like what I see. So I'm like, okay, because I have no school stuff on my walls whatsoever. Because kids don't.
Good for you.
So did you call your classroom the nerd den? Like what do the students call it?
No, they just what the students are fascinated by. I have a table in the front of the room. It's an IKEA table. Like I use it like a podium kind of thing. And my wife, she's a teacher too. Well, she had it in her classroom, and some kid carved a penis in the top of it.
Awesome.
So I just started covering it with stickers. So over the years, this entire table is covered with nothing but Star Wars stickers in my room, and that's what all the kids want to come and see. Because it's just like I go to Dollar Tree and buy a pack of stickers, and then at the end of every year, I just cover it with Mod Podge, and so now it looks like a piece of Art Deco with just nothing but Star Wars stickers everywhere. So that's what they want to see.
It's funny that you mentioned stickers because I finally got my stickers back.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you're talking about.
Hold that up to the screen a little more. Hold that up. Oh, you have that fancy background stuff.
There we go.
So that's one of them, and then the other one is missing from the desk. But instead of the stock being on this side, this is the helmet for the kit I'm working on. The other one, my other helmet, has the stock on the left side, and it looks like Boba Fett's helmet, except the stock is on the opposite side.
Nice.
So
you're the only one I know that has their own stickers.
It's cool.
I started posting up all the patches and coins that I got over the years, and I have a whole tub of stickers. Like when we went to Celebration and people were getting pictures with Sapien or 000, they were just handing me stickers, you know. So that's what I am going to miss about Celebration this year, because I can't take costumes, and I don't trust the airlines with my costumes, and I just can't. I can't put 000 on a truck with Mandalorians either. I'm sorry. I don't trust the heat for that resin. It'll be like a pancake when I get there.
I just looked up the California travel restrictions.
Yeah.
And apparently they're all gone. So I mean, not travel, COVID restrictions. So the mask mandate has been recalled. So there shouldn't be any limitations on Star Wars Celebration.
Good. The only thing they were complaining about a month ago was there was a rule that you couldn't wear a helmet.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear that, Ken?
Unfortunately, there are
to a Star Wars convention.
There are some folks that I'm tangentially connected with who were very vocal about that, and it was just a bunch of whining and belly aching and complaining about this rule. Which, on one hand, I understand the frustration. You know,
right.
they want to go and show off this costume that they spent so much time, effort, and energy on, and they're forgetting the reason why that decision was made.
Right. Yeah. No one was making it like just to be jerks.
Yeah, but essentially that's what the person who was belly aching made it seem like those folks are just a bunch of jerks and worse. Like
yeah, because the rule was you had to wear a mask. You know, a whatever cloth mask,
face covering.
Covering, but you couldn't wear a helmet that made it impossible to see if you were wearing a mask. If that makes sense.
Well, part of it is, I mean, if you really think about it, you can't trust most people.
Well, that's more a commentary on the people too.
Yeah, I mean, go to any supermarket and look at how many shopping carts are scattered around when they have 53 of those shopping cart little return bins, but people push the shopping carts up into the median or turn it sideways and then
I push it into the newest car in the parking now.
But should that be gone now that the restrictions are lifted?
It might be, and that could be part of it, and that's where I think for Celebration at least, which I don't think they're doing a good job at communicating, but I also think there's some companies that were never set up to communicate because of COVID. You know, because I would imagine ReedPop probably runs on a shoestring budget, you know, because they make their money in cons, and if they haven't done any cons in a while, you know, they don't have like extra people floating around. So they're probably just waiting until they know more, because the last thing you want to do is to say everyone, okay, guess what? You don't have to wear a mask. And then 2 weeks later, they say you have to wear a mask. So they're probably trying to make sure they have it all. I mean, because they're probably going to lift masks in Maryland. I teach in Maryland. They're probably going to lift masks next week for schools.
Yeah, they're lifting them here in New Jersey. Well, you probably know that already. But New Jersey, our kids don't have to wear the mask next week.
Yeah. My wife, they just started yesterday. They don't have to wear masks.
So, John, we talked about Tatooine and we talked about projects that we're working on. What was one of the other Star Wars topics you wanted to chat through?
Well, all I was gonna, I mean, kind of just wanted to gauge to see what everyone's upcoming Lucasfilm project they're most excited for. Like me personally, I'm really looking forward to Kenobi and Andor.
So back to Tatooine is what you're saying? You want to go back to Tatooine?
Yeah.
Kenobi?
Yeah, pretty much.
Do you think Kenobi's going to take place in other places? Do you think he's going to go off planet?
I mean, just based on the concept art we've seen thus far with Vader and Vader and Kenobi, I feel like we're at least going to see Mustafar in some capacity, maybe the early stages of Vader's castle. But I don't see any reason not to leave Tatooine.
The rumors say that it takes place in Alderaan and other places too, right? I think we're going to see something. It's not. I mean, Lucasfilm knows we don't want to film an entire year of shows on the desert, right? So I'm not going to have expectations, but I'm pretty sure we're not going to only see Tatooine.
I still think the premise of the show is him diverting any kind of attention to Luke, and if that makes him have to leave Tatooine, You know, like before they had the shows that we have now. When I first heard about the Kenobi, when they were just like when it was a rumor beyond rumors way back when, I pictured him more of like that old kung fu TV show. You know,
The David Carradine one?
Yeah, like I pictured Obi-Wan Kenobi kind of like just circling where Luke lived and like keeping the peace so it brought no, as he would say, imperial entanglements. Like he kind of just he was almost like the man with no name. That was my initial picture. But now that we've had the Mandalorian there and we've had Boba Fett there, now I picture it maybe again it's just his main goal to keep people away from knowing he's alive and keeping people away from Luke. And I don't know how I feel about the Vader showdown. I personally would rather see Vader always thinking he's going to catch Obi-Wan and wind up catching a different Jedi. You know, like because I don't know. I go back and forth. I trust the guys making it because I don't know how to make movies. I trust whatever they do. I'm sure I'll love. But like right now, not knowing anything, I'd rather them not face off. You know, personally, but I'm looking forward to that one too, John.
Who else do you think is going to show up beyond Vader and Kenobi?
Well, there's still a lot of Jedi out there. You know, you have Voss, you have some bounty hunters. You know, you could have like Vader send bounty hunters and Obi-Wan has to kill them so they don't know it's Obi-Wan. You know, you could even have a Yoda. You could have a one episode Yoda like they did with the Mandalorian. You know, on Dagobah or something.
Yeah, you really don't know what they're gonna do. Yeah, you really don't.
And I think all the shows are billing so all the ones that are in the same time period kind of are going to dovetail together. You know, like I don't know. I've said this last week and I'll say it again. I just wish they would come out with a Wednesday Star Wars show and you don't know what you're getting. You turn it on and this week it's Boshak right before you met Obi-Wan and Luke. It's Boshak trying to talk to Han or something. You know, that guy with the sideburns, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, or Boshak could be breaking up with his girlfriend. It could be that woman from Mandalorian. You know?
Pelimato.
Yeah.
The project I'm looking forward to the most is a sequel to Jedi Fallen Order.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Well,
So I
the
think
big-
that's where I think that's going to be something that's what I'm looking forward to because that game was really, really good.
You're looking
And,
forward to that more than Eclipse?
Well, it's this year, right? I think what was the question John said was this year?
Yeah.
No, just in general.
Well, I thought is Eclipse coming out this year or next year?
I think
Eclipse is next year.
Oh, okay.
Off the record, I'll tell you what I heard about Eclipse. I mean, off the broadcast, but no, the games are really good. I mean, and the games I look forward to, like, you know, like Mike just said, I wake up Wednesdays at 5 a.m. because I don't want Twitter to ruin everything.
Yeah.
I'm just happy that any stuff is out there at all. You know, I just recently watched Boba Fett again from the beginning to end. And it's one of those things that I read somebody said today that they rewatched Rise of Skywalker. They didn't like it before. And they rewatched it. And they said, you know what? I really love it. But it took them a couple of watches to like it like that. You ever hear like a song that you don't like first and then for some reason something like clicks?
Yeah.
Well, I really liked the Book of Boba Fett when I watched it. I really, really liked it. But when I watched it again, I loved it. Because now, like, especially the finale, which I've watched like 5 times, you don't have the same sort of, you don't anticipate what's going to happen. You know what's going to happen, and you're looking for certain things, like that dude that spins around, right? It's when I first saw it, I'm like, that's ridiculous. And now when I see it, I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, and
speaking of that guy, did you ever notice how his blaster fired?
Yes.
That
I
was
love the attention.
So it
to
almost
detail.
like the top part charged, and then the bolt came out. So
That's
it
why I
glowed,
spun
I didn't know that.
and it was a purple blaster bolt. It wasn't a red, it wasn't a green, it wasn't a blue. I thought it was purple. So I thought it was really
strange
neat.
noise. I know that the noise it makes is different.
And I think you bring up an interesting point about, you know, watching it again and again and again. And maybe that's just because I'm so used to doing that I just expect other folks to do that.
Yeah.
And I think one of the most disappointing parts about whether it was The Mandalorian or even the Book of Boba Fett, they would watch one episode or one chapter, and they'd say, "This is lame. This is stupid. We don't, it doesn't make any sense." Well, they're not taking in the whole. It's like, picking literally one chapter out of a book and judging your perspective or your perception of that book based on just that single chapter. I don't think Star Wars works that way.
Well, and I know I always say this. I take Star Wars way too seriously. Like, again, this. Hopefully, if we keep this going within a month, we'll be able to be recording from the interior of the Falcon when that room's done over there. So,
oh, that's cool.
But it's just I just think of the word fan as fanatic, and so I know I'm fanatical about it, and I appreciate my wife for putting up with it. But if you're not, I guess I'm just too old. Just don't talk about what you don't like. I mean, you can critique stuff, and if you're a critic or something, maybe. But if you focus on the things you like, and that you can get just as much joy out of, you can dislike a whole show, but find that one part you like, or just don't watch. Pick something else. There's so much fandom out there. There are so many things you can find compared to, when I was a kid.
I will never understand ever this whole millennial generation of complaining first. I would never get it. Just don't watch it. Don't watch it. Like, I'm not going to complain about shows I don't like because I'm not watching them.
Right. And we had, when we were kids, we had like 4 channels out of Philly, and then if you had like a wire antenna that stretched on aluminum foil, we could get one from Harrisburg. So, and that's all the shows you had, And VCR, like, I would just remember the first time I saw color TV, I was in middle school because my grandfather, he just had black and white TVs. So I was just happy for color,
My favorite question. So when Derek was younger, he just celebrated his 17th birthday. When he was younger, he actually asked his mom while we were driving in the car at one point, "Mom, when you were a kid, was there color?"
No,
I've had students ask that.
I just thought there was and I'd laughed because Heather's younger than I am, but he asked her if there was color when she was a kid because he had seen a couple black and white movies, old black and white movies, and he thought that they were filmed in color, but they didn't have color then. He thought that everything was black and white in those days.
What was that movie where everyone was black and white? Pleasantville? Was it Pleasantville?
The Road to Pleasantville or something like that?
I don't know. There was a town, and they were all in black and white.
Yeah.
Well, one of my first computers was my first expensive computer was a Radio Shack
TRS-80
Tandy 1000 EX.
Oh God!
And it came with a monochrome monitor because I didn't have the money. I mean, I saved up. It was like $900 plus $50 for the monitor. And I played a game called Space Quest by Sierra Games. I don't know if you ever played those.
I have.
I could not win that game because with the monochrome monitor, I couldn't see one of the exits because it was like black and I played that game for months. And then Missy, who's my wife now, she bought a color computer, and back then they came on 2 discs. So I had the 5 1/4, and she had the 3 1/2. So when we were at home, we'd play, at each other's house. And I was like, wait, there's an exit there because mine was, monochrome. So. It is weird how things have changed in games and like Vader. Have you played Vader Immortal?
On the Quest, yeah.
We bought one of those for Zoe. It wasn't really a Christmas present. It was just because she just did so well in school. We just had to like give her another thank you. And I played that Vader Immortal. I'm glad she takes it to school because I would never get done. I'd get fired from my job because I would just play that all night.
The Tandy 1000, my God, that's the successor to the TRS-80. I'm looking at it now.
My first computer was a TI-99 4A with a cassette tape. So I would save my games on a 5-minute cassette tape in '83.
And your phone probably has more memory than that computer ever did.
Don't you think though? Don't you think? And I'm gonna be a little ageist against John here. John, you probably did not experience this stuff, but when we used to, so I had a Commodore 64. I forget if it was the Amiga or the Commodore. Anyway, the drive, the 1541 drive, was so loud. It was a floppy disk drive, right? It was 5 1/4. Is that what it was?
Yeah,
It was so loud that if you didn't put a pillow on it to muffle the sound, my mother would come in at night and like, what are you doing playing games? Like you couldn't hide it because this I was so loud, like it was and it's like midnight. And I'm like, oh my god, no, because nobody had white noise back then. So I mean, these are the things we lived with, John. That you just
and
don't
you had
understand.
I had a special tool where you could take that 5 1/4 drive and punch a hole in it, so you could literally flip it and record on the other side.
Yeah, I heard about those things.
Yeah, and they were terrible because those. And we had special boxes when I went my first year of college. We had special boxes you would put your discs in because when you went through the magnetic things to check for library books, it would erase your disc drive. So you had to buy this special box to put your.
The struggle was real.
Yeah. Oh, and the old Star Wars games, as much as I fondly remember them, some of those old Atari games and stuff, and when I tried playing them, I'm like, oh man, this really seemed. I should not have played it later in life because it really ruined some of the gaming. Because they literally just the only reason you knew it was Star Wars was because a couple of the shapes kind of looked Star Warsy, and they put Star Wars on the box.
The shapes look Star Warsy.
Yeah,
they attempted to use some of the soundtrack. But it didn't necessarily translate well.
That 16-bit sound is rough too.
Blood said the same Rebel Assault. Rebel Assault was a great game.
Yeah.
Is Exegol a sand planet? Huh. Yeah.
Oh,
Well, I mean, it is kind of black sandy.
Well, what was the red?
At least, different. Even if it is a sand planet, at least it's so different that it's a different. The black color makes it look like a different kind of planet that isn't just the same as all the other 4 that we're grouping together.
Well, I'm going with my theory that the sand planet, because if you think about, so I remember not right after seeing Star Wars, we were learning about. I was in 5th. I was 9 or 10, however, whatever grade you're in. We were learning about the planets, and we had to do a project for school. And so my project was I made a baseball card for every planet, and I made a creature that would live on that planet. I don't think I got a good grade on because my artwork was terrible, but I remember I thought Star Wars, like, okay, Mars is really hot, so I made creatures that looked like a sand planet. You know what I mean, and stuff like that. So,
oh my God, I thought I loved Star Wars. So Empire at War, I played Empire at War one time when I first got married. I had my old college roommate drop by, Bill Morrison. And we played Empire at War for 24 straight hours, and my wife just didn't understand who I was.
Well, that was similar. Wasn't that similar to like the old Warcraft? Wasn't the Empire at War similar to like the old Warcraft? Like you would build things and they would produce.
Yeah, well, Empire at War is just it's it's one of those. It's a real time video game, right?
Yeah.
So what's crazy is Empire at War was so popular, and then they never made it again.
Yeah.
And it was a really popular game. But when I played it against, we couldn't stop playing because as soon as we would finish one match, we would start another one, and then start another one, and then it's like best out of 3, best out of 5, best out of 7, best out of 55. But we played it like he was over for like a day and a half, and we played the entire time Empire at War because you can have conversations while playing the game.
Yeah.
But
well,
they are all Dark Forces. My God, Jedi Academy, Rebel Assault, Star Wars Galaxies. Don't forget Rogue Squadron.
Oh, Star Wars Galaxies. Oh man, that was I was a Mac guy by then, so I didn't get to play it. Like I was on their list to join it, and then I switched over to Mac, and they didn't make a Mac server at first for Star Wars Galaxy.
I played TIE Fighter versus X-Wing forever. Yeah, I mean that was a great game.
I just rebought them on Steam, X-Wing and TIE Fighter. Not nearly as good as I remember either, but they were
nothing ever is.
I just thought my mind told me the graphics were way better than they were. So,
Anthony, I wholeheartedly beg to differ. Lego Star Wars: A Complete Saga stands the test of time. Still my all-time favorite game of any genre.
Is that the Lego one?
100%.
Oh yeah, the Lego.
I go back to that game.
The one that's coming out, the one that's coming out, the Skywalker Saga.
The one before it.
No, I'm talking about the one that's coming out, like that's kind of the sequel to the one that John just mentioned. I wasn't that interested in that game until I saw the trailer. They had a very deep look at the game like 2 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be nuts not to buy that game.
Yeah.
It looks fantastic.
Yeah,
And
I
now
see the next 2 years of my life going into that and 100%ing that.
Yeah, you're gonna get every single one, right? Every single side, every single character. That's you have to
Jedi
wonder
collector,
how characters.
where you get all the studs.
Yeah,
So
I always liked those, except when the girls were little. Zoe wanted to pick up every little coin, so before they made the one where you could split off, and she'd be dragging the screen. I'm like, oh, we got to kill these guys, and she'd have to collect every little coin.
Now, John, have you noticed that the Lego games are getting harder, which is good? Because
Yes.
the Lego games go through the same path as Star Wars animated shows, right? Like they first come out, they're like, well, these are for kids, right? And then somewhere in the middle, they're like, you know what? Screw it, make it for adults. And I feel like the Lego games are going through that same sort of like path.
Well, I think part of that is because they want to maintain so when the kids played it, this new game, they want it to be fun for those people that were kids, but they need more of a challenge. So they were 5 when the first one came out, that they're 15 or 25 when the next one comes out or whatever it is. So they're still trying to maintain the connection to the fans and bring new people into it. And I think you can adjust the difficulty on those games too, can't you?
I believe on the newer ones you can, but I tried playing the new Marvel superheroes game, and I was impressed by not only the level of detail but the difficulty. It's like, wow, I thought I was going to breeze through this in an afternoon, but it took me a week or so to beat it.
You mean the one with you play is the one that I like that game. The one that didn't do so well though. That's the one that had Miss Marvel in it. Or Captain Marvel. Miss Marvel. I like that game quite a bit, but yeah, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy at all. I play this game, so I have on the mobile game. I play the Star Wars mobile game that is actually surprisingly good. You may not be able to play it. So Lego Star Wars, unless you have an Apple subscription, it's called. I'll put it up on the screen here. It is called Star Wars Battle.
Oh, there we go.
Right. So it's Clash of Clans. Right.
Oh,
okay.
Star Wars. I mean, it's an exact copy of Clash of Clans, but with Star Wars. No, I shouldn't know. Clash of Clans. The other one, Clash of. What is the other one? Let me just start a battle. The other one, Clash of.
But it's similar to
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. That's
Clash
the one.
Royale. It is Clash Royale clone. I'm going to walk you through it here, right? So you pick your planets. Oh, there you go. I'm just going to screw that right now. Hit battle. You pick your planets. Jakku. I don't have Endor unlocked yet. When you go here, check this out. This is really cool. You upgrade your lasers. You upgrade your troops like everything else. Now, this game is not... I don't think this game is available if you aren't an Apple subscriber, which really stinks. This is a great game. And you battle against other players. And then as you make these... It's Clash Royale. And you make these players. Cool. You see that... And then you just drag them out here. And then keep doing it.
I can't wait until that...
the graphics
that
are
comes
great.
out for the Twitch, the Star Wars Hunters, I think it's called.
All right,
which
someone
one?
asked if we saw the Liam Neeson news. Is that he's going to be in Kenobi?
Is it a rumor though? I'm so disappointed. Sometimes I'm disappointed with the rumors because I mean Han Solo was supposed to be.
Oh yeah.
Well, that makes me sad.
It says he's confirmed in Kenobi. So I'm at the point now where unless I see it on StarWars.com, because there's so much clickbait, and unfortunately, even some of the more reputable sites lately have just been using clickbait as their source. And I mean, what is it? A broken clock is right twice a day. And so I think some of the clickbait gets it right just enough to I did wear my Cantina shirt for our Tatooine. Or well, it's Scum and Villainy, so it's not anywhere near a desert planet, but I did wear that.
Yeah, making Star Wars is. I watched. I love that one. That's very reliable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's Jason. Jason.
Yeah.
Making Star Wars. Yeah, Jason. Because I think I don't know if Zoe was on his show or something years ago.
Oh, really?
I think it's making Star Wars. That's Jason, and because Sal used to be on it, Lizzie's dad. So
No, that's a very good one. And he also makes another one for like Stranger Things now, I think.
oh, okay,
No, he's great.
yeah,
He's
Yeah,
really
I mean,
dedicated. His passion, like real passion. And he's got a massive amount of fans. Like when he does those
Yeah.
live streams, there's like 25,000 people on those things.
yeah, that's good. We get, what do we get? 2 today, 3, which I appreciate you too. Not, this is only we don't even know what this is, what we're doing. Again, what I was saying when you first came on,
We're hanging out.
I got this software to test for Zoe for doing live, just because she's been expanding her website on her own. Like her first couple years, I was kind of like, I don't know if to say I was pushing her, but I was telling her, if you want to do it, you got to do it right. And now she just pretty much runs it on her own. And her biggest stumbling block now is Lizzie runs such a tight schedule, like with her because her college is like compact, that they have a hard time getting together. And so.
Hey, Mike,
Well,
you're getting some big compliments here.
Oh yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah. Well, I mean, again, I work with people that don't really know anything about Star Wars. I work in Maryland. They just eat crap.
Can't believe you have to put up with that.
So, and my wife she's a much bigger fan than she lets on, and Ken will attest to this. Any wife or spouse that will go to an event when I'm dressed in a costume and help all the people in costumes, and like we've done, and my wife's a fairly shy person. We've done televised parades where the only person you can recognize walking down the street is my wife, because she's the only one not in costume watching, helping out. And then John has met Safi. I don't think you met Zoe yet. I told her to give you a call, but she's she was on RA duty all week, so she's pretty particular with her.
RA duty is not easy.
Well,
everyone hates you.
Yeah. Well, see,
you get your own room. That's one benefit of it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what Zoe has done. She did Star Wars night in her building for her kids, and she does, her floor is all it's one of the only all female floors of film and acting students. So she's kind of taken it under their wing. And Temple.
So she's already got dramatic people on her floor, is what you're saying.
Yeah. But she's had pretty good luck with it.
That's all you need.
And what's funny was with Temple, just 2.5 years ago, they just decided that it was a good idea to kind of introduce the film people to the drama people, which I thought that would be like the first thing you would do. Look, if you need actors for your show, then we have them in the drama department. So, but she also, she produces their equivalent of Saturday Night Live. She's the producer of their Temple Smash, it's called. So she took one of the producing jobs, and she has fun with that too. So, but I don't.
Did they ever put that on? Did they put that online?
Yeah, it's on YouTube. It's called Temple Smash. I don't understand it because I'm not like I'm like, it reminds me of Saturday Night Live, but the sketches, I don't know if I'm just too old for college humor or
Well, you also might not be at Temple. Sometimes they might do those inside.
Well, that's what I think.
Kind of
some of them are a little more inside for me, but she does a good job. Like I look at it from the production standpoint, so I'm happy. I'm just happy my kids are doing what they want to do. Like that's, I was never given that option growing up. Like if it was, we were expected to get a job that made money. Like you had to go to a building and make money. And if you didn't, then you were a failure. That was, and we don't really give a shit what your feelings are, So.
Yeah, Mike, be glad your children are the exception, not the rule. Speaking from personal experience.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, but you're that way too, John. So like maybe just you got to hang with us people. You got to come east a little more.
Yeah.
Mike said he has
room
in his lawn for a tent.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
I don't know, long term might not, but
hey, I'm no stranger to sleeping in my car.
Yeah, I know. Well, man, I said it last week. I was so worried after that film shoot we did because you were awake for 48 hours straight.
Yep.
And then
you're coming back in March, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I already got
we'll be back in March.
I got the days work around.
Yeah, Matt's a character. I like to have things a little more organized than him. That's just me, but that's his artistic thing. It's maybe because I'm a teacher, like I have to plan what second I take a leak at school, so you know.
Yeah, you never see teachers go to the bathroom. Yeah, you're right.
It's funny because like my day is planned. Like if I set my bag down in the wrong spot, it throws my day off. Like I have my steps planned. Like, okay, look, I got to get this copy now. But when I'm doing that, I'm going to drop this off, and this off because I have 17 minutes to get all this printed, eat my lunch, stop and see the principal, and then go pick my students back up. So.
You're a looper. I love it.
So I have to make sure that every step counts. And then the best advice someone gave me when I started teaching was, when you're in the hallway walking somewhere, carry papers with you and people won't bother you. So I do that too. So, because then they look like you're going somewhere. So hopefully, there's no, my teacher friends are, they don't know what to think of me. But
you mentioned about your wife going to events with you. Is there any event that really sticks out in your memory as one of those super cool moments where the whole family was involved, including your wife?
Yes, I know exactly. It was the Weird Al concert in Washington, PA. So it's almost out in Ohio. I think it was 2012. The girls were still doing Jawas, and normally when Weird Al comes, they fill up the spots to dance on stage with him, and they couldn't get enough guys. This was like 2 months out, and so I said to the head of our group, I said, "Look, I will take my daughters out, and they will do it so we meet the qualifications of how many people we need. But I said, you can't cancel my kids. Like if I'm committing now, I don't want some guy 2 weeks before saying, hey, I can do it all of a sudden." And so we went to that Weird Al concert, and it's on YouTube, and you can see my girls dancing as Jawas on stage, and
that's awesome.
They were so happy. They got to meet Weird Al, and it was funny because everyone was getting Weird Al's autograph, and the girls had cards of themselves as Jawas. They didn't care about getting his autograph. They give him their card, So that was one of my first experiences with Weird Al. I think I've been on stage with him like 11 or 12 times.
Oh my God.
So that's but that one's probably one of my best.
Are you doing the next one? I just bought tickets, Renee and I, for October 29th in Philly.
Yeah, well, see, he's not doing the Star Wars song. I don't think he's taking his whole band. So I think he's doing the song, but he's not having Star Wars characters.
Yeah, he's doing it differently, right? This is like his last concert year. I think that's what this is it. So we did the backstage stuff and everything. This is it for Al.
So we have a few of us have a plan because we know Marty, our friend Marty, he's in Weird Al's book. He does Chewbacca, and when we were at the one concert, they called Chewie in the back, and Weird Al was sitting in his dressing room tweeting with Chewbacca. But so we got to know the road manager, so we have some things in the works we might do when he's in Pennsylvania. We just have to figure out how to. I don't want to say any more, but we have some things planned for that when Weird Al's around. But I really like Weird Al and his drummer, and but we luck out. Like I'm Anthony, when we're doing a shoot, you and your boys need to just take a road trip out to Lancaster, because that last shoot that Ken was on, we had Chewbacca and C-3PO on what looked like a desert planet. It was surreal,
My wife goes to Lancaster 3 times a year. She loves it. She spends she goes to, if you go in my house, there's a picture of a farm that she stays at. She stays at one of those Amish farms.
Oh, okay.
And she always goes to the same place every year, and it's like this beautiful farm. So yeah, she absolutely loves it.
I grew up, all my neighbors were Amish, and that's where I met Harrison Ford. I met him at Zimmerman's store when they were filming Witness, because Witness was filmed in the town of Intercourse, but they didn't call it Intercourse.
Yeah, I picked that up too, John. Yeah, I met Harrison Ford.
Yeah, just casually throw that in conversation. That's the first I've heard of it.
Wait a minute. That is a Star Wars reference.
Yeah, no, I met him. I was probably 16 or 17 because I was just, and my mom at the time. I mean, she's still my mom, but at the time she still talked to me.
Star Wars
She worked,
reference.
she worked at the grocery store, right? I know, right? She worked at the grocery store that they filmed the one scene where he's in the phone booth, and they were filming it all day. So she got me in the back. I got to talk to him for a while, and I got his autograph on a Post-it note. It's just like this was a 1980 like 4 or so Post-it note, and I was driving home. I had a '68 Ford pickup, and the whole passenger side on this pickup was an old road sign that we had riveted down to the floor. I stuck the Post-it note on my dash. It got sucked out a hole in the floor, so there was my autograph. My autograph didn't even make it home.
Oh
Sad.
no!
And you didn't stop?
I didn't realize it. I mean, picture the crappiest car you've ever ridden at. Picture the doors almost falling off. Driving.
That was my
like
first car.
65 miles an hour. It was like you couldn't even hear the radio. It was like being in a wind tunnel. And I'm
My
just
first car was a
driving.
1971 Volkswagen Beetle.
Hey, don't be busting on a Beetle, man. I'm a bug guy.
Oh boy!
I was rolling the window down, hand cranking the window down, and the handle fell off the door into my hand, and I was so surprised by it that I dropped it on the floor, and it also fell out the hole in the floorboard. I went to a movie with a girl in high school once, and we were driving home from the movie, and it was raining, and we came over this hill down into a gully, and water flooded into the car and soaked from the knees down, soaked her pants completely because of the holes in the floorboard. So I know what that's like.
Well, when I started dating Missy, she needed a car, so I bought a '71 Super Beetle for $25. I spent about a month. I stripped it down and I built her first car. So, and she's still with me, so it must have worked.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
it's the
tough,
old
you guys.
saying: buy them a car, they'll be with you for life. Isn't that the whole thing?
I guess. Yeah, $35. It was
Beetles are a girl's best friend.
Yeah.
I don't
It's
know. My
all like
sister
magic.
hated hers.
That's magic to me. I don't know how any of that stuff works.
Well, I didn't really have a choice. It was like, oh, you want to have a car, Mike? Well, then you need like, and I had limited funds. Like I mowed grass. I remember walking home from mowing grass, and the guy had paid me for 6 weeks because I did a cemetery. I had like $600 cash, and there was a guy with a truck in his driveway for $500, and so I just right there didn't ask any grown-ups or anything. I'm just like, okay, I'll buy it. I bought a car. So terrible car. It was, but and it goes into Star Wars when I work on stuff like that. When I was younger, building cars, and it was usually I was working on them at 11 at night when I had to be to work at 6 in the morning. I always pretended I was Han Solo to get me through. I was just like, that's how it got me through because I was always using crappy parts and crappy tools on a dirt floor.
At least you had a floor.
He had air. He had to build over a canyon. Back in my day, we had to play with Battlestar Galactica figures instead. No.
Oh no, not Battlestar.
I had to make Old Bob. Because they didn't sell Old Bob. They only sold Vincent. So I had to crush his head and take the leg off, and it was horrible.
Melt him against the oven.
I had $6 million man. I tried to make him Han Solo. I tried to cram clay in his eye. You know how the $6 million man just had a big hole in his head? I tried to put clay in his eye and make him Han Solo.
Yeah, we got
so
Jim to thank for that.
Ken, you're like this. The designer of the $6 million man was Tim Affleck. That was his big thing.
Oh yeah,
he did that. Yeah, he did that whole line, $6 Million Man, and all that stuff. That was when Hasbro was so like in charge of. Really,
well, that was even before Hasbro. That was Kenner.
Kenner. That was when TV decided like what shows existed because you wouldn't even see. Shows wouldn't even sign unless they had the toy rights. Somebody bought the toy rights, and if they didn't buy the toy rights, they couldn't finance the show. So they would do all these silly things. Tim Affleck's coming out with a book this year, I think, that talks about all that world, which is it's crazy, beautiful world that unfortunately is gone.
Well, your wife will like that. I used to get most of my Star Wars from a Amish store. They used to buy tractor trailers from JCPenney and Sears. And it was all the bent boxes and ripped boxes. And they had an old chicken coop converted to a service merchandise type store. And that's where we used to get all our Star Wars and superhero toys in the town of Honeybrook. So,
Man, that would be like $1 million business today.
oh yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it's just it was funny. Well, back then they didn't pack them like they did. I think we said this last week too. They just threw the parts in the box, and you just hope that like your sticker thing didn't fall out of the box.
Because people
This
used
is
to play
why
with
I
stuff.
want. This is why I want time travel to happen in my lifetime, so I can go back to times like that and get those things and bring them to today.
Well, like J.C. Penney's was like babysitting for us. Like my grandmother, like I grew up with my grandparents, and she would just set us in the J.C. Penney toy store, and I think that's why you have so much. I have so much nostalgia for those old Star Wars toys. It wasn't that I had a lot of them, but I would stand there for hours and just look at them. Like you would just look at all these boxes, and then you'd move and look at all those boxes, and then that's all you did. And then for hours, and then they come pick you up. As long as you weren't kidnapped, you got to go home.
There's a guy that did a TED talk the other day about he did a 30-day sabbatical on electronics, right? No phones, no computers, nothing. Just a notebook, newspapers. And he said, this is what happened to me. What was interesting, he said that his imagination started to come back. So he started like daydreaming a lot, which he didn't really do because anytime he would try to daydream with the devices, he would just get on the devices. And his imagination started to come back. Right. And that's sort of where we are today with kids, right? Like we have all these devices and stuff, but toys aren't really popular at all.
Yeah.
Except toys started to make really good toy sales went through the roof during COVID. And part of that is because the parents would limit the amount of time that the kids are on the devices because they don't literally want them there all day. Because now you're going to school on the devices and then you're playing on the devices. So parents will take it away and they bought a lot of toys. So the question is going to be, Mattel and Hasbro put out their forward-looking statements for what they think the next couple of years are going to be. And Mattel's like, yeah, this is permanent. We're going to grow. And Hasbro's like, we think people are going to go back to their devices, So it's interesting to see how toys sort of made a comeback. And then,
See, I don't know if I would chalk it all up to parents buying toys for their kids as much. This is the skeptic in me thinks that during the pandemic, people had more time on their hands, were shopping, and so you had those third-party sellers. They were going in and snagging them all up and then selling them, to other folks. Because there was online sales also went through the roof during the pandemic. So
Barbie had its best year in like 40 years. Barbie had some crazy surprises, right? Like Barbie did so well last year, or during the COVID era.
I think so. In the 501st Legion, when I first started in 2007, the only thing we did charity wise was we would go to events and we would collect toys. That's all we did, and we would never collect money, never handle money, and we would take toys to hospital visits. Well, what I see at least in our group, they're still collecting toys, but you take kids, and the kids are grateful. They're very wonderful kids that they see in hospital, but those kids don't play with toys anymore, like action figures, it's just a commentary because some of us members have said, hey, maybe we should like collect coats for people that need coats or something and get away from the action figures, because the action figures, and I noticed it when the Clone Wars action figures came out too, they weren't really made to be played with. They were very nice, but maybe that'll change. I mean, I know the phones and the electronic stuff is tough as a teacher because we're always fighting that battle, and depending on what home a student comes from, you can call a parent and say, hey, your kid's always on the phone, and the parent will take care of it. And certain parents, they're texting their kids while I'm trying to teach them something. So, you're kind of, the phone, it's almost like we have to get a grip on where phones fall in our society. I know for myself, most days when I go to work, just to be an example for my students, I turn my phone off and put it in my desk drawer, and I'll check it at lunch. My students are like, what if there's an emergency? And I'm like, look, I lived the first 40 some years of my life with having to go to a payphone if you had an emergency, and I did okay. So if there's an emergency, they can call the office and I'll be fine. But it's tough. It's tough for us as adults. I mean, it is just one of those. And the reason I don't carry my phone at school is because just out of habit, a lot of times I just pull it out and look at it. Just walking down the hall, and so I just try to, limit that, and because I'd love to see toys make a comeback. You know,
Well, Arc 77 says still loves playing with toys.
Yeah,
Plays with the toys over electronics.
Well, and you know what? I think like the Black Series helmets, and I think like maybe we're just looking at toys differently. Maybe due to the advent of 3D printing, you have John like building costumes. Like he's way younger than us. We have us build like maybe that's the new toy. Like maybe what like action figures had their run, and maybe the new toys are like the Black Series helmets. And like if you go into a GameStop, if you still have one around you, they're making like Thor's axe and Captain America's shield. Like maybe that's the toys of this generation.
That's a really good point, because I had a conversation earlier today with somebody at lunch, and they were saying that things that we think we're used to, some of them are relatively new. You know, even the idea of school is not something that's been around longer than 100 years for high schools, right?
Right.
And
right.
I never really thought that maybe the action figure era was just a phase. You know, just like we went through the tin car phase, the tin toys phase, and just like we went through, you know, to some extent the board game phase. And yeah, I guess it could be a phase, couldn't it?
Because if you look at a price of look at the price of the Millennium Falcon back, if you do whatever chart to calculate what the Millennium Falcon would cost in today's dollars, and then take something, just go to because a GameStop is probably our last vestige of a toy store right now. For what actual kids, I see more.
Yeah, and Targets too. Targets are pretty good.
Yeah, but I see more kids, like unsupervised kids, in a GameStop than I see in the toy aisle of Target. Usually in Target, I see people like in their 20s, but I'm saying like kids that are like going.
You hear that, Nancy?
Yeah, I know.
But I'm saying I wonder what comparison, like what money wise, because when you do go to cons and stuff, the cosplay stuff is like really blowing up. Like Steel City Con is still one of my favorites, and John will attest to this. Like John was a rock star as Din Djarin. Like we had, it was like we just had people crowding around getting pictures. It was Din Djarin, 000, Chewbacca, and Boba Fett. And we
Boba Fett.
Yeah, but if they stopped walking, we had to take 15 pictures to just take, and we weren't with a group. We were just us nerds walking around.
I think we have to come up with a rule that it's Boba Fett. Because I mean, isn't that how he says it? So shouldn't we say it the way he says it?
So one word smooshed together?
Yeah, he kind of says it's one word, doesn't it? I'm Boba Fett.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and Mike, kind of going back to your point though with the 3D printing, I mean, even cosplay and costume pieces are a big part of. I think you're right. That's becoming more so what the toys might be for the teenagers and then people of my age. I don't think you're going to get a lot of 8, 9, 10-year-olds who are going to be 3D printing costume parts. But even at that, like, yeah, I've got costume pieces that I 3D print, but like I just bought a 3 3/4 scale Mandalorian's Naboo Starfighter that I'm going to start printing here soon.
And a 3D printer?
Mm-hmm.
My son got one for Christmas, and we have no idea how to use it.
Which one'd you get? Which one'd you get?
Toy Box, I think it's called.
What size? What print bed?
No, I have no idea. It's
we're talking to two 3D printing nerds over here.
Whatever the size this is.
Yeah, my only advice on any 3D printer people is just be patient. Once you get yours dialed in, just expect a lot of failures, and once you get it going, you can print all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, well, I think he would love to have that.
Division.
The file for the Naboo fighter.
Where'd you get that, John?
Galactic Armory, which I am now an affiliate. So if you use code Scalise at checkout, you get 10% off.
Oh man, I got to remember it. Because but John hooked.
That was pronounced so well. He sounded like a real ad person.
No, you should put an ad on TikTok. You should have that rolling around there, John.
I actually, because I didn't realize that I had gotten accepted into the affiliate program for his website, but like I bought the files for the fighter. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try that code, and it worked. So I stumbled across the fact that I got accepted.
Because I've been printing for like 4, maybe 5 years, and the quality of prints coming out, you kind of, it's one of the few things you get what you pay for right now. when it comes
Mhm.
to and the Galactic Armory stuff. John got me hooked on those. Those guys are good. Droid Division is another one. Like you could print a whole pit droid. Droid Division stuff is nice. And then there's a bunch out there, but you just have to get in with a group of people that print, whatever, and help out. You buy. I don't know where you're getting your filament from, John.
I'm still churning through my Inland brand filament,
Okay,
so it's a Micro Center.
GS 3D, is that what the stuff? I don't have a box in here right now, but you buy it. If you buy it by a box, 10 boxes, 10 rolls, you get it for $10 or $9.50 a box, where it used to be almost $40 a roll when I first started. So the prices come way down.
Yeah, I think it was about $30 for a 1 kilogram roll when I started.
Yeah.
Now it's getting down into the just for mainline, you could buy it on Amazon. It's like $16-17.
Yeah, I paid, like I said, I paid $9.50, and that's like wood filament still cost me like $30, and silk filament that runs in the $20s, I think.
See, I don't touch silk filament anymore. I had one go at that, and the prints always turned out terrible.
Yeah, I only use. I have to make a set of volleyball or dodgeball medals for some of my students just because they were working hard, and I said I'll make them. So I'm going to get some of the silk. It works through my Flash Forge. It's not the best through my CR10. That's super nerdy talk. But yeah, no, I think
that was pretty nerdy.
3D printing, like my students, I'm seeing more of my students get into it. Like 2 years ago when people tried to get into it, they thought, hey, look, I bought a printer, I plug it in and it should be printing, and that's not the case. But they are getting a lot easier to work on and maintain and stuff like that. I mean, it's still not like, it's not the end all be all. Like I know there's some people that are anti 3D printing. They're like, oh, it's still a lot of work to do a helmet. Like you print, all you did was you cut out having, like Zoe's Sabine helmets cost me a lot of money to get them resin cast. The 3D printing cuts that cost out.
Yeah, I think overall this helmet, this probably cost me probably $15-20 in total materials. Yeah. But yeah,
and depending on how you set it, you can I just did a Mandalorian helmet for animated Mandalorian, and it took a spool and a half. So that's like, depending on the spools, that's under $20 for a helmet.
You got to print it upside down, man. I'm telling you, I will never print the helmet right side up again.
I just take all the things out. I just hate printing them up. I just hate all those stupid. I don't know. My finishing is not as good as yours, but
I don't know.
I got a Sabine there though. Like this Sabine, that armor. I still go with the 3mm PVC because that armor is like $7 to build a Sabine. So.
Now I made it through the weather. Better days are gonna get better. I'm